Hey, welcome to Financial Tech Talks. This is your man Tony Porter with Financial Tech Talks, and I have a special guest today. He's from a company called Detroit Wall Street Properties, and we're having an interview with him today, and we're going to discuss his business, and we're going to talk about some business techniques that you can use as an entrepreneur, and we're also going to get into some other strategies that you can use as an entrepreneur. So first I want to do is I want to introduce him, and what's going on, sir?
What's going on, Mr. Porter?
How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Excellent. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to you about your business because, of course, I've known you for a long time, and I just wanted to get your basically your understanding of what it takes to become an entrepreneur, what strategies you would recommend for entrepreneurship, and just talk a little bit about your journey.
Well, thanks a lot for having me on the show.
Right.
I listen to Financial Talk, you know what I mean? So I'm a fan, so it's an honor to be on the show.
Great. I appreciate that. So what we want to do first is I want the audience to get to know you a little bit. So I want to just kind of know, like, what got you into becoming an entrepreneur. So kind of just vaguely tell me your story.
Well, born and raised in Detroit, the Motor City. So it's known for cars, it's known for fashion, it's known for hair. So it was one of those things where it kind of just happened, where when I was young, maybe elementary school, I would buy candy from the bulk store, take it to school, sell it, and multiply my money.
That's how it started.
Yeah, it was just the love from growing up in the inner city. Sometimes you don't have,
right?
So you look for ways to get creative to make extra income. You know what I mean?
That's hey man, I am from Detroit. Just to let you guys know, it's my home, and I'm here, and it's a pleasure to be able to talk to an actual successful business owner from this area, because in certain cities, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, and he's definitely doing his thing. So we're going to get a little deeper into his journey, and one of the things I wanted to know is. So let's talk about where you started. So we know that you got the entrepreneurial spirit when you were younger, but where did you actually really start to realize, okay, it's time for me to maybe not go into working for other people, but for working for myself?
Well, it all started off from working for other people. I believe in the theory, if you can sow into another man's vision, you should be able to do it yourself.
Right.
So I'm not one of those guys that just got it off my hip or anything like that. I had to pay my dues and learn from other people. So it was a thing where, went to high school or whatever, started taking a few business classes.
Okay.
And the first thing I actually did was start buying real estate.
Oh, wow.
So that was the first thing I did. Actually, I was engaged to my wife, or we were married, I don't know, and we were staying in an apartment.
Right.
And I brought my first house.
Wow.
Yeah, my first rental investment.
Let's put some perspective on that. How old were you when you made that
I
move?
was maybe 27.
27.
27,
So,
I think. Yeah, I might have been married. Maybe I don't know. Between 24 and 27.
Okay,
yeah.
which is still relatively young to buy a home. And if, basically when you don't have necessarily the finances that, say, maybe a more affluent family would have, so to be able to do that at, I would say before 30 years old,
right. Well, I do believe when I purchased the first property, I might have been short maybe $1,500, $2,000.
Right.
I got a small investment from my sister.
Okay.
She's in the military. She's she's a good person, whatever. So I think she might have gave me $1,500.
Okay.
I was able to get it at closing, give it back to her, and it kind of worked out.
Okay,
that way.
that's great.
Yeah.
So you did that, and so you had your first home. Now, at that time, did you actually have your own business at that time? Or?
No. It was just an extra way to make income. You know what I mean? I began to, read different books about real estate, and I always had a passion for real estate. I always,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right.
Had a passion for it. So it was one of those things where it's like I'm just looking for some additional passive income.
Right.
So it was like, okay, well, we're here in Detroit, and the properties are, at that time, they were relatively low.
Right.
So it was one of those things where, well, what can I do to make some extra money? I think matter of fact, I was working at the radio station. I was a DJ and assistant promotions director.
Okay.
And promotions coordinator. I kind of worked my way up through there. So it's one of those things where, like, let me figure out what else I can do.
Okay, so you pretty much had several paths to this.
Exactly, but just in the thing of radio, you got to be a gypsy. I got a lot of friends that still out there doing it, and it's one of those things where you could be in the market today, and next week you shipped off. It's almost like an NBA or an NFL player or anything else. You got to
permanent.
You got to pack light.
Right. Wow.
You got to pack light.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Right.
So you work for the radio station. You invested in the property. So I got it together. I found me a renter. Okay.
And I went out and got another one.
Okay.
And that went well, and I went out and got another one.
Wow. Okay.
And then that went well when I got another one. Then after that, the bottom fell out. Real estate market changed. This is right around 2000, early 2000s.
Right.
So that was right before, the financial crash.
Right.
So everything kind of crashed or whatever. So I had to figure out how to reinvent myself. So thankfully, I didn't lose any of them due to, foreclosure or anything like that, because they had the adjustable rates going on there. They had the arms going on there. So you could be paying $700 today, and tomorrow when the arm expired, it may shoot up to $1,500.
Right. So my question is, because a lot of people are young and they have aspirations to be in business, but they don't know what to do. How did you figure out what to do?
Well, I think it all goes back to passion. You know what I mean?
Right.
My passion was always to be able to take care of my family and to sustain a healthier life. You know what I mean? Growing up in the city, you see things that you want, but if you can't have them, it's like, okay, well, what do I need to do? And I'm not a guy that was, willing to go out and sell drugs or harm anybody or anything like that. So what got me into what I'm doing now, before the market really started crashing, you had these guys out in the city, and a lot of them were Caucasian guys, and they would ride around in the city, and I would say, why are these guys, in this neighborhood,
right?
You know what I mean, doing work on these properties,
right?
You know what I mean, but they never would tell you,
right?
You know what I mean, so it's like,
so
okay,
it's like secret sauce,
exactly, yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, what are they doing here? You know what I mean? They may do a roof, do a furnace, and the stuff will come up stolen.
Wow.
And so it was like, I just began to talk to him or whatever, and I didn't know exactly what it was called.
Okay.
It was one of those things where, Google wasn't even around then.
Right.
So what do you call something that you don't know and you can't look it up? I can't say, properties or anything like that. I mean, it's going to pull up a million different things about a property.
Right.
So one of the guys was talking and whatever, and one day he said something. He said, property preservation. I said, oh, that's what it's called. Property preservation. So I began to look up companies, that dealt with property preservation, and I was able to get some contracts or whatever, you know what I mean, and to start dealing with the foreclosure crisis in this area.
So the timing was good too.
The time was good. And then what began to happen is a lot of people will come into the inner city. And their trucks may come up stolen, the ladders may come up stolen. But with me coming from the inner city, I knew exactly what time the people woke up, what time they went to sleep, and how to maneuver around the thieves, quote unquote.
Wow, that's it takes. I'll tell you, it takes a lot of thought and self-reflection and planning to come up with a strategy like that, because a lot of times what happens is a lot of times when people become successful, they have mentors, they have mentorship, meaning somebody sees that they have the passion, and then they say, hey, I want to show you the way, right? But just based on what I understand, it's like you kind of took the initiative to just kind of get bits and pieces, and then you were able to parlay that into actually creating this business.
Yeah, it's almost that included with self-preservation. I mean, at that time, after 9/11 and the housing crisis, people started laying off, and I was one of those. I was a casualty. I got laid off from the radio station, so I had a few dollars left, but it wasn't enough to sustain myself. Right. You know what I mean? I'm a younger guy. Just I mean. I think I made at the time I might have been making like 70, 60,000, something like that. And it's okay for, it's just me and my wife. It's great money.
Yeah, it's
great money. Money.
Even today for the average guy, that's good money.
Great money.
But what that tells me is that your goals were bigger.
Exactly.
You just seen yourself in a higher tax bracket.
Well, I didn't want to go back to the factory. I did UPS. I was, it was just like, what do I find that I like to do? What's my passion? So,
right.
I always like real estate. But it's ups and downs in that. I would have renters that wouldn't pay, and I still would. I didn't have a formula at the time.
Right.
I would still have to pay the mortgage company, and I wouldn't get paid.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? I had to, begin to learn the business. You just can't get a property and put a renter in there and they don't pay you. You have to have, different blocks up or whatever to help yourself. Not necessarily help yourself, but to like a safety net.
Right.
A safety net.
Course,
exactly. So I was able to figure out a safety net, because it would be times, man, I'm like, man, the first of the month is coming and these people just wouldn't pay.
Right.
And that happens in real estate. People just wouldn't pay. They'll say, okay, this is a young guy here, and most of them are older. Oh, well, I'll come back tomorrow, or come back this day and come back that day. And it would be like, now's the 15th.
Right.
Now's the 21st. And rent was due on the 1st.
Right. So were you the type of person that when a customer was late, did you go through the channels of
course.
Getting evicted?
Of course. But it was a different time then where you had to, serve them a 3-day notice to quit. They go to court. Either they pay or they vacate.
Right.
And the process was just so long to get a bailiff out to really put a person out. It wasn't in a landlord's favor to go and do all of that.
I see.
You know what I mean? And then typically when a person gets evicted, these people
sometimes they damage
the property.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's just what I call growing pains.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it will be good times when everybody's paying and you're happy, and then the next month, you have to figure out how to pay that mortgage, because at the end of the day, my name is on the line.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I had to kind of preserve my credit or whatever. So I was never a guy that first time I got some money or whatever I considered, I wouldn't necessarily go right out and spend it. I'll try to save it for rainy day.
Basically, you definitely save for a rainy day. So,
exactly. So when everybody else was losing, I wasn't making any money, but I wasn't. I didn't lose the properties.
Right.
So thankfully, a few years go by, and I was able to sell them. I took a loss on some of them, but it was okay because the mortgage company knew the value was down.
Right.
And everything went down at that point.
Right.
So, I was able to keep my credit together.
Right. What's good.
Exactly. So I ended up finding a servicing company that just dealt with property preservation.
Okay.
Exactly.
So let's, I know pretty much the basics of property preservation just by the name itself.
Okay.
But I just want, for the audience to know just kind of like a small, some details that maybe a layman wouldn't know.
Well, property preservation is essentially this. What I do for the Bank of America, or I'm an independent servicing company. They may say, okay, well, Detroit Wall Street Properties, we have a certain amount of properties in your area, in your servicing area, and we need you to go by and service the property. So typically when a person loses their home in foreclosure, I'm the first line of defense. They don't have people, they have agents that we work together with, but they don't have a person to necessarily drill out the locks and go in and assess the property to figure out exactly what's going on. So essentially it's going in, assessing the property, finding ways to make the home marketable again, and resell it. So it could be from anything from mortgage or neglect, when people say, okay, well, I put the furnace in, I put the cabinets in, these are my products, I'm taking them out. But the house still needs to be marketable for a potential person to buy it unless they're selling it as is. So we would have to, go in, assess the property, write down all the damages, and they would pay you to repair them.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty. Hey, thank you for clarifying that, because I know a lot of people, hey, what does that mean?
Right.
So and I'm glad you simplified it so we can get deep into the weeds. But so all right, so now that you created this company, and so I don't know if you watch a lot of social media or not, but they always have these videos saying, hey, what is your business structure? Are you a partnership, an S corp, or LLC? So what is your company? What structure?
Well, we started off as an LLC, and that was fine for a while. But once again, we go back and forth with the growing pains. Right. I did not realize, when I set up the business, that you have different tax advantages from being, a S corp or LLC or just any other entity of business partnership or sole partnership or anything like that. So I kind of when it was booming, at one point I was doing 3 states, and I was making a ton of money. So what happened is I filed my taxes. And they said, "Oh, well, listen, you owe the IRS $180,000." And at that point, it was like, "Oh my God, this is a blessing and a curse once again." So, what am I going to do?
Do you have $180,000?
Yeah, I mean, if I do, but who wants to give the IRS $180,000? Exactly. So, and that's including the penalties and interest and everything like that. They're going to make sure you understand. They're going to send a message. Yes. And they sent me the message.
They send a clear
me the message.
Right?
Exactly. So I got with my my tax attorney. And he said, "You know what? We have to restructure it, and we're going to make you an S corp." So we became an S corp. Thankfully, I was able to pay off the IRS and start all over. You know what I mean? So boom, that was just once again, it's a learning thing. Exactly.
Again, I was saying earlier, if you don't have a actual mentor who's in that business, or in the particular business that you're in, you don't know the advantages of having one structure over another. So it is a learning process.
Exactly.
But I mean, but to me, the key to a great entrepreneur is being able to move forward after that happens.
Oh yeah, I had to adjust whatever, and my whole goal was to get out of debt with them, because at each month the interest was still occurring.
Absolutely.
So you know what I mean? So it was like I think the bill might have been like $140, and $40,000 of that was interest. So you know what I mean? I had to strap my boots up and pay them off.
That's right. Yep. So that's cool. That, man, I tell you, that's some great information. So, but I'm gonna go back a little bit, because I meant to ask you this earlier. So what made you decide to create the name that you have, Detroit Wall Street Properties? What made you create that name?
It was just a vision. You know what I mean? It was just like one of those things where, I have another S corporation, and it's called Checkmate REO Services. So it's just, and that's a whole nother business. But so it was just one of those things where it just kind of dropped. It was like, boom, I like it. Detroit Wall Street Properties. You know what I mean? Wall Street. I'm black. You know what I mean? So Detroit Wall Street Properties or whatever. And we had a ton of properties at the time. So everything kind of worked hand to hand.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, and because just to let the audience know, I've known him for quite a while. He's my wife is his brother.
The first seed investor.
And so I've known him for a while, and I've watched his growth in business, and it's quite a motivation to any. I mean, in particular to Black people. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to see the ideal of building something from nothing, then this guy is that guy. And,
thank you.
So I just want to let the audience know that no matter what, you can do it. You have vision.
You can do it.
You can do it. So.
I come from nothing, man. I'm nothing. I think that's my drive now. You know what I mean? Now I'm kind of getting a little older, where you start realizing what's important in life. And at the end of the day, you want to still be able to enjoy yourself and sustain a life. But I enjoy traveling. I enjoy, taking care of my family. I just enjoy it. But, it's hard work pays off.
It does. It definitely does. And so that boy, I tell you. So again, so we did talk about how you created the name, and so I wanted to get more into a little deeper into it. So
meat and potatoes, huh?
Yeah, like just more or less on what does it feel like to be an entrepreneur? Because I think people underscore that position in life because they think it's hard. They think they don't see the reward in working for yourself. So I just kind of want you to just kind of let the audience know. So
I feel different. I think a lot of people get involved in business because they think it's easy. And it's not. I mean, early days, typically it could be from 5 a.m. all the way up until the job is done. I mean, you have people in place and people that you hire that you believe that can do it, but nobody's going to work your vision like you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, it's one of those things where even a Steve Jobs or a Amazon guy, you know, it looks like they're just enjoying life and they're taking planes and he got to build multiple billions of dollars, but at the end of the day, he still has a business.
Right.
And nobody's going to, I don't care who he hires, is going to do it.
Love it like he
love it like he love it. I mean, from coming in a garage, humble beginnings to where it is now.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny you said that because I have a picture in my phone of Steve Jobs' first office.
Wow.
And it's always a reminder to me to just keep going.
That's exactly.
Because I mean, and I don't have any desire to be as wealthy as him.
I'm pretty sure he didn't foresee that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just hard work.
But it's just you never know what the effort you put in,
right,
what it's going to turn into.
Exactly.
You never know.
Exactly. So I think typical. I think sometimes people get involved with business and say, okay, I have a business and I work for myself, but
right.
You're still working. You're working for yourself, but you still have to work. You have to be the first person there. You may have to be the janitor. You may have to be the accountant. You may have to be the grass cutter. Whatever has to happen, but you have to do it because nobody's going to work your vision the way you work your vision. That's my motto.
Right.
So you know, typically awesome. it's long days or whatever, but I'm able to do what I want to do. It's passion. You know what I mean? So it's passion.
Okay. So one thing I want to get into is like you said, a lot of people want to start a business, but necessarily having the tools to actually make that business work is a whole nother thing. But and what comes with that is raising capital.
Right.
So what was your process to raise capital?
I began to just what I had in my savings. Mm-hmm. And my credit. I mean, you have to have good credit. So if you don't have, your credit together, I would suggest that would be the first step because sometimes you have to use your credit to leverage the money that you may not have. Right. And it was that and just really, really saving. You know what I mean? It was just like, okay, well, I can't, I might have, it started off, the check started from, okay, $3,000, you know what I mean? That was good. That was great compared to what it was. And then it may go to $10,000. Right. Then it went to $20,000. Right. Then it went to $50,000. So you begin to understand how money works and what to do with it. Right. It's not just one of those things where you get the $3,000 check and you want to go to the mall. You want to do that. You're gonna ball out. I didn't have any money. Right. And I probably still don't have any money. The company has money. Right. Yeah. Exactly. I'm in charge of it, so it's still
it's yours by proxy. It's yours, but it's the company's work. I get you.
Exactly. So that's one of the things that I would definitely tell people is you have to be a person that's willing to do what it takes. Mm-hmm. And I see so many people get involved with things and they start and they stop and they want to, okay, this is what my friend is doing and this is what this person is doing. Or the internet says, okay, I can just go on here and sell things on Amazon and sell things on here. Right. And if that works for you, if you have a blueprint for it, then I'll just do it. Right. But
more power to you.
More power to you. So it's one of those things where you have to definitely do your homework and you got to be a person that understands how to build. You just can't take that money and just say, hey, I want to go do this, I want to go do that, and you can't. All right, so,
listen, man, hey, y'all pay attention now. He's giving you some knowledge, so pay attention. One of the things I wanted to know is because something that's really important to me, and I see a lot of, successful people struggle with this, and it's the work-home life balance. Okay. So, for you, and I know that it changes from when you first start a business until if you've been in business for many years, that balance can change. But what is it like for you? What is your work-life balance like?
Work-life balance. So typically it's season. So right now I'm in a busy season where I just started another company. So it's my baby. I haven't gotten it to a point where I'm ready to scale yet. I'm scaling as I go, but I'm not where I want to be to keep going. So a lot of it is I have to do. Right. You know what I mean? It's growing, but I have to do it first so I can learn. When I hire my other employees to work for this company that I just built, that I understand exactly what's going on. I know you can't tell me it can't be done because I've done it and I've done it years and years and years. So now I'm in the process now of scaling. I'm trying to, just grow the business and grow my relationships before I can bring on additional people. So I would incline anybody to just don't jump out there. A lot of people jump out there and say, hey, I want to take over the world. You can take over the world, but it's inch by inch. You know what I mean? And that's just been my thing. You know what I mean? Just inch by inch. I put my blinders on like I'm a racehorse. A racehorse, and I don't pay attention if you're in front of me or you're behind me. But eventually, I'm like the turtle. I just end up at the end.
You end up the
tortoise, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that kind of goes into having a philosophy in life when it comes to some people are what they call spiritual people, some people are religious people, some people depend strictly on their own internal fortitude in life. So do you subscribe to a spiritual or of
course. Okay. And I think that's definitely my foundation. It's always been my foundation because coming from where I come from, man, you don't do and see some of the things that I've done. It has to be God. I mean, it could only be. I'm not doing this by myself.
So you definitely believe in for your success that there is a greater power involved in
a greater power. I believe in giving. You know what I mean? I mean, like tithing or giving to other organizations and other people and doing that. So that definitely helps out.
That's excellent, man. So because I would say that if you live long enough, you definitely know that things that happen in your life, some things just you don't know how it happened.
You don't know how it happened.
You were doing something, but what they say that what you're reaping from the things that you do, sometimes you don't expect it to go the way that it goes, and I definitely believe that there's something greater out there that's charting a path.
Of course.
So, I'll leave it at that. But that's how I see it.
I would definitely see that, man. Some of the things, I guess, we started in 2006.
Right.
And I want to say in 2010, I made my first $1 million, and it was just like
in 2010.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was just like, wow, like I didn't do this. I mean, I just was diligent.
Yeah.
First person
persistent.
Here. Last person to go.
That's right.
First person here, last person to go, and it just snowballed. So that was a big feat for me, man. I mean, coming from where I come from, you know what I mean.
And it's okay. So and I want to put that in perspective, right? So you said in 2010, and it's 2023.
Correct.
So that means that you've worked hard in your life to get to a point that most people are never going to see. I mean, that's just a fact. And most people, they're never going to get to that point because sometimes people are lucky, they win the lottery and, they get an accident and, they get some money or something. But most people don't labor, they don't work to get to that $1 million.
Right.
So that's why I say to anyone who really is willing to take his recommendation as far as get there early, leave late, until that business.
And you gotta have good people around me. Me and my wife is a partnership, so definitely you gotta have good people around you. You can't do it by yourself. You gotta build a good support team, people that you can call on in the middle of the night when you're frustrated with your employees that you do have, or you're just tired because it's not for the week. You're gonna have days where you wake up and you just don't want to do it anymore because the checks aren't coming, the money is coming fast enough, and they had a job that's gonna pay you every Friday, and you can go ahead and start getting paid and take away all your problems. But if you're diligent and you're persistent and you work hard, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where you begin to overcome the obstacles from being an entrepreneur. And it's all different types. Machines break. Things get stolen. I mean, it's every day it could be something. So you may start off at 6 a.m. smiling, by 12 you're crying somewhere in the truck.
It's always something.
It's always something. It's always something. That's the whole key of having that nest egg and having insurance and having different things in place where when things happen, you're prepared for it.
You create a safety net. Once you get that income, you create a safety net.
You create a safety net, yeah.
So it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. So what's up, everybody? This is Tony with Financial Tech Talks, And I want to thank you guys for watching our previous episodes, and I encourage you to watch my new episode with Terrence Turner from Detroit Wall Street Properties. It was a great interview. I learned quite a bit from his journey through business, and I think any new entrepreneur would get a lot of great information out of it. Before I go any further, I want to give a shout out to my partners, which is Ramon, James, and Jerome. I'll see y'all guys soon. We're going to be shooting a hip-hop business interview soon, so I want you guys to be looking out for that one as well. You can catch all of our interviews on all social media platforms. You can check our interview out on all podcast platforms. Prefer you try iHeart because it's easy to download and it's free. So again, check me out. Check our interview out in a couple of days of Detroit Wall Street Properties with Terrence Turner and myself. And you guys have a great day, and I'll see y'all soon. Thanks.